How's you going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's Workshop. I love it when you drop in the shop. It's so nice. I'm glad you dropped by today too. I appreciate it. Today I don't have a project, but what I'd like to talk about is when I'm doing mechanical repairs or any kind of work around the shop here in the camp, if I need some pieces or parts or fittings, oftentimes more than enough, I'll go on Amazon to order them. And oftentimes more than enough, those parts I get on Amazon are made offshore. Now that's not a fault of Amazon. Amazon just sells parts. They're just a seller, right? But when you buy products from offshore, you're never sure if you're going to get a good part or not. Do you buy the cheapest one? Do you buy the most expensive one? Do you buy the brand name one? Do you buy the knockoff one? You know, you never know what you're going to get, and it's always a gamble. What I've done the last little while is I keep track of what I buy, and if I buy this part and it works good, then I'll buy that part again. But that doesn't mean that that part I bought came from the same manufacturer. It may come from the same seller, but the manufacturer may be totally different, and therefore the quality of that part is, you know, subject to change without notice, sort of thing. But anyway, recently I was working on my Husqvarna lawn tractor with that video I made about the tractor that was hydrolocked. I'll put a link to that video up here if you want to go check that one out. But I found a couple of things with parts that I had recently ordered from a Husqvarna tractor that came from offshore, and yeah, they were cheap ones. So let's go. I want to point them out and show you the damage with them and maybe the damage that could have happened to my machine. So the Husqvarna tractor A, the engine hydrolocked on me. All the fuel that was in the tank drained from the tank down through the fuel line, through the fuel filter, into the carburetor bowl. Because there was dirt in the carburetor bowl, this is what I'm thinking, because I couldn't find anything wrong with the carburetor. Because there was dirt in that, some dirt got lodged in around the needle valve in the seat and prevented the needle valve from closing. So then the fuel just kept filling up. And because the engine itself is much lower than the tank, sort of gravity took over then, and it siphoned through the intake valve, right down into the cylinder, flood around the piston of the cylinder, go right down into the sump, fill the sump up, and when the sump gets filled and nothing else more can fill in the engine, then it'll just drizzle out around the carburetor and onto the floor. And it's pricey. I lost probably $20 worth of fuel in that job. But anyhow, when I was trying to analyze what happened, like why did that happen, eh? The only thing I could find is when I took the carburetor off, there was grit in the bowl. But anyway, I think a piece of that got stuck in the needle valve and kept the needle open. You know, stuff like that happens. My issue is, how can I prevent that from happening? Well, I had some suggestions in my video that I put a fuel shutoff valve in the fuel line. Well, I already had one here. I never used it. I have it turned off now. The reason I put that in there is because in the fall, when I'm finished with the tractor, I'll turn the fuel off and run the bowl empty so that there's no gas sits in the bowl over the winter, so that it doesn't get gummed up. And then in the spring, I turn the valve back on, the stop back on, and away I go. I never think to turn it off after use. Well, you see, I have it turned off now because I'm old but not stupid, I guess. I decided that I'm going to start doing that to prevent the flooding of, or the hydrolocking of the engine, losing all my fuel again. So anyway, that was one solution that I had. And it's a good one. I appreciate all the suggestions I had to put that fuel line in there, that fuel line shutoff valve in there, and because I already had one, I'm just reading into those suggestions that, you know, make sure you use it. So I'm going to start using it. So how do you deal with grit? Grit should never get there, right? Because, hey, look, I have a fuel filter here. So another job I was doing on my tractor when I was getting it ready for summer, you know, remember I had the deck off and had to replace spindles and things like that? At that time I checked the engine, and when I took the valve cover off, the gasket got damaged, and I said I was going to have to order a new valve cover gasket. When I went online to order that gasket, I think a gasket was something like, I don't know, I'm going to guess, just round numbers here. It's about 20 bucks for a gasket. But while I was looking for the gasket, I found this awesome, like Steve Robb would say, smoking hot deal. You could get a gasket, you could get a spark plug, you could get an air filter, you could get a fuel filter for $35. Man be dang fool not to take up that offer, right? For, you know, not even twice the price of one gasket, I can get a gasket, spark plug, air filter, and a fuel filter. So that's what I did. I ordered it. I put the head gasket or the valve cover gasket on. That seemed to be good quality, that gasket, but I still put a little bit of gasket goo on it just to make sure, and there's not even a sign of a leak there, which I'm very pleased with because these valve cover gaskets are prone to leak, but none here today. But when I was taking the air filter off here the other day to get at the carburetor, this is the air filter that came with this smoking hot deal when I got the valve cover gasket. Look at it, the rubber seal just fell apart. The backing on it here, look at it, it just puckered up like that, split the filter material open. So like the big hole here, it's just drawn whatever's in the air right through this. It's not getting filtered at all. You know, it fit on there pretty good when I put it on, and I thought, oh yeah, geez, I guess I got a good deal here. Well, I didn't. It's a piece of crap. Look at it. And this was, like I say, the smoking hot deal where I got it for like $35, right? For a filter, valve cover gasket, spark plug, and a fuel filter. So yeah, pretty neat. But no good. Offshore, this piece offshore was no good. Now I'm not saying all offshore parts are no good. This part here definitely was a big fail. So this is the air cleaner that I put in it, and guess what? I got this one on Amazon as well with a deal. I got this with an oil filter and a fuel filter. Not this fuel filter, but it came from HIPAA. Now HIPAA, I've had HIPAA carbs, and I've had good luck with HIPAA carbs, but I've also had HIPAA carbs that are not worth throwing out. You know, it was terrible. So if you look at the name, you can't really go by the name and say, hey, I'm going to buy a HIPAA product because I know it's going to be good. No, it's still a gamble. I bought this air filter from HIPAA. I'm hoping it's going to be good quality. So far, it's holding up. I mean, the seal is still good. It's been on here for a couple of weeks now. I like it so far. But then I come back to the issue of the grit that get in the bowl. How did that grit get in there? I got a fuel filter in the line. Well, guess what? That fuel filter was part of this awesome smoking hot deal that I got with this air filter that went crappy. But here's the fuel filter. The fuel filter is supposed to filter out particulate. You're hoping that this fuel filter is going to keep that grit, dirt, whatnot out of the carburetor, out of the engine. It didn't. So this fuel filter, I'm going to change that because I don't trust it now. I don't trust it anymore. So, and then buying these cheap parts, you know, when you look at them, I forget what I paid for. Oh, I said $35 for all this, right? $35. I don't know what a fuel filter would cost if you just bought a fuel filter, like I'm going to say a good one, but how do you know if it's good or not? I don't know, it could cost $5, $10, I don't know. Say it costs $10, just for the sake of argument. You buy an air filter, $10. So there's $20 for just these two parts. But if they're good parts, they'll save your engine. Dirt getting in an engine is probably the second worst thing that can happen to it. First being runs out of oil. But you know, dirt gets in there and the dirt is like sandpaper and it'll scuff up your cylinder, ruin your valves, you know, God knows what it'll do. If it gets in the crankcase, it can, yeah, lots of things. So to spend a little bit of extra money to get good quality filtering material like air filters, fuel filters, oil filters, you know, I think maybe it's worth it. When I bought my tractor, I was into to the Massey Ferguson dealer to get a hydraulic filter for it. A hydraulic filter cost, well, back then I think it was like $78, $80 or something for a hydraulic filter. It's just a little canister filter, you know, about this big. I was thinking, $80 for a fuel filter? What the heck is going on here? But the guy at the Massey Ferguson bench there, what he told me was, he said, would you rather pay $80 and save your engine or pay $5,000 to rebuild your engine? So I bought the filter. But anyway, all I'm saying is, offshore parts, I wish I knew a way that I could buy parts and know that they were good parts. I could have paid $50 for that air filter. I could have paid $50 for the fuel filter. But I still have no confidence that it's the best part out there. So the point of this video is what? I don't know. Take your chances. So whenever you need to buy parts, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. You know, sometimes you luck out and you get good parts. Sometimes you don't. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about buying parts and maybe where you buy your parts and what kind of luck you have with them. And I'd be interested to read the comments, find out about that, because I wouldn't mind knowing that when I buy a pert, it's a good pert and it's going to last. So thanks for watching. Don't forget everyone, thumbs up me. Please take care. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you.